So let's be honest, Carnival Cruise Lines has sort of a reputation as of late. And so some people say it's cheap, others say it's chaotic or too much of a party scene. There's too many kids, it's not classy enough. So we decided to put all this reputation to the test for ourselves. And so over one of the busiest sailings of the entire year, we took our family of three, my wife Trevi and my 3-year-old Olivia, on a 6-night Carnival cruise on board the Carnival Panorama cruise ship out of Long Beach, California. And so in this video, I'll walk you through everything you need to know about the ship, what worked, what didn't, and most importantly, who the ship is actually for, and maybe who should skip it.
What's up YouTube? Trevi from the Adventure Buddies, the modern travel family, bringing you another video filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make sure you maximize your next family adventure, like we always do here at the Adventure Buddies.
So first, let's get into some quick context first about the overall ship. So the Carnival Panorama is a Vista class ship built in 2019, and it does carry about 4,000 passengers. And so this is one of Carnival's newer and larger ships, and it's a very different experience from some of the older ships like the Carnival Radiance. So that distinction here matters. So first, let's talk about overall first impressions. So first impressions, again, really set the tone for us. And honestly, the staff impressed us right away. So from checking in, which was absolutely flawless and fast, to our stateroom attendant who learned our names almost immediately, greeted Olivia every single day, and somehow had towel animals waiting every time we stepped out of our room. And so the crew members as well were generally friendly, especially towards the kids. The kids club that we'll get to in a second, that staff was absolutely incredible. And so the whole ship just felt consistently clean and well run. And so that alone went a long way for us in breaking some of the Carnival cruise ships stereotypes. So if you've ever cruised Carnival before, I'm curious if your experience with the staff was similar. So drop a comment down below. So next, let's talk about our actual cabin and where we stayed. So we stayed in the cheapest cabin category, a standard lower level inside cabin on deck 2. So again, it's nothing to write home about. There was 2 twin beds pushed together to form a king bed. But before I get into a little bit more, a quick pro tip for you. So ask for a mattress topper as soon as you board. There are a limited amount of that, but it does help with comfort in preventing you from falling into the gap of the 2 twin beds. And so as we get back to the room, the storage was fine, especially for the space underneath the bed where we store our luggage. And the bathroom was basic, small, but again, functional. So water pressure and temperature were solid. And so in overall, in retrospect, for the price that we paid, again, the cheapest cabin we could get, we had no complaints. So now let's get to one of the biggest highlights that we felt Carnival just knocks it out of the water, and that's the kids club, or what they call Camp Ocean. So again, Olivia was in the Penguins group, and that's from ages 2 to 5, and we just thought it was extremely well run. So for example, on day 1, they hosted a family night dance party where us parents and our kids could go into the kids club together. So this was like a sort of an open house, and so that helped Olivia get comfortable with the space and the staff. And because of that, the drop-offs later during the cruise were smooth and tear-free. So again, some of the nights she stayed in Kids Club up until 10 p.m. or above. Not because we wanted the free time, we got it, but because she didn't want to leave. And so we enjoy the staff so much that we felt totally comfortable leaving her on board during our stay in Cabo, which was a 2-day port day, which again says a lot about the staff. So again, we couldn't speak highly enough about Camp Ocean. So we've gone to Norwegian, we've done Celebrity, we've done Royal Caribbean, and we have to say the best kids club so far is that on Carnival Cruise Line. So something that was new that we just learned when boarding on the ship was that Carnival actually offers the family harbor on the Panorama. And so the family harbor is essentially family style stateroom, so a little bit larger, accompanied for your particular family. And so this also gives you private access to the family harbor lounge. And so again, this is a separate lounge that has snacks and drinks and TVs, etc., so that you can have a segmented area where your kids can just hang out and be free without the crowds upstairs on the main decks. And so it's totally worth it if you have younger kids and you want that quieter space. You get breakfast, snacks, and then just a place to reset and meet. But we do say if your kids are older or you're rarely in your room, you could probably just skip it. So next, let's talk about the pools, the water slides, the hot tub, etc., and a couple things we feel you need to know about this. And so the pool and the water areas were much more kid-friendly than what we experienced in the Carnival Radiance. And so if you want that full cruise breakdown and review, click the link above here. And so on board the Panorama, there are multiple pools and hot tubs throughout the entire ship, including the private Havana area and the adult-only Serenity area. So it is important to note for parents is that no diapers or even swim diapers are allowed in the pool, and they are very strict on that. And so here on board, they did have a great splasher where the toddlers really wanted. So Olivia loved the splash zones, dumping water buckets, and there were enough options that it never felt overcrowded. They even had slides that the little ones could go on, plus slides for us big kids. So another major highlight for what I would say Carnival Cruise Lines in general, because it was a highlight for the Radiance and highlight here on the Carnival Panorama, was the actual food. And so they had plenty of different food options, probably so much that we might not even try them all. Not sure if we did actually. So breakfast was one of our highlights. We went to the Blue Iguana Cantina. They had breakfast burritos and tacos, and so these were so good, and you can go up for as many as you want. The buffet actually had a specific family dedicated section for the kid-friendly staples. So you're thinking like chicken nuggets, hot dog, french fries, etc. So if you do have a picky eaters, there's a spot for you. One of our favorite lunch spots was actually Guy's Burgers. Guy's Burgers is renowned for having these on the Carnival cruise ships, and there's definitely a line, and a line for good reason. Don't worry, that line goes quick. However, one of the big tips I do have for you here is that on sea days, some of the specialty restaurants quietly offer free lunches for their abbreviated menus, including the Italian place, Mongolian wok, and the barbecue place. So it should be noted that these aren't advertised, not even on the app, they're only advertised on the printed printout you get every morning. And so continuing on with food and dining, for dinner we mostly did the main dining room, but one night we weren't feeling the menu, and so we tried Pig and Anchor barbecue. And so I got the ribs, and that full rack of ribs were so good, we actually decided we had to come back on our last night of the ship because it was that good. However, we would say one thing that this ship was missing compared to the Carnival Radiance was Shaq's Big Chicken. So this was a small fried chicken spot where you could get a variety of different chicken options, and that was just some of the best chicken we've ever had. And sadly, they didn't have it here on the Panorama. So we talked a lot about the highlights. Let's talk a little bit about some of the lowlights, I guess. And that's what I would call the entertainment in some of the activities. And so this is where we thought the Panorama was a bit mixed in terms of reviews. And so the main theater shows were underwhelming to say the least. They were similar, almost exactly the same to what we already saw on the Carnival Radiance. And so if you're coming from Royal Caribbean, especially like a ship like Wonders of the Seas, these shows will feel like a total step down. And so we actually break that cruise ship down in another video linked above here if you want to see the Carnival's Wonder of the Sea, one of the largest ships in the entire world. Continuing on with entertainment, the comedy shows were actually one of the strong points. And so there were 2 to 3 comedy shows per night. There was the family-friendly early sessions and then the adult onlys. And so it should be noted that they were strict on checking IDs for the 18 and older shows. And so with the comedians, they had 2 comedians per night, and they rotated mid-ships and brought on new acts, which was great in terms of keeping the content fresh. Continuing on with activities, the sea day activities during the day felt more like just time fillers. So you had the standard trivia, bingos, karaoke's. They're fine, but not exciting. I think this is something, an area that they could actually expand upon more during those 2 sea days. So then in terms of activities though, Panorama actually had a lot more than the Radiance and was actually one of our highlights. So the highlights included the sky ride, the ropes course, the sports courts, indoor ping pong, a large fitness center, and of course, a full spa. And don't forget the casino. We're not gamblers, but the casino was absolutely packed. And so if you do want a pro tip though, do the sky ride on embarkation afternoons for the shortest line possible. But if you want the best experience, do it on a sea day while you're actually moving out in the middle of the ocean. It's pretty eerie. So next, let's talk about the elevators, ship flow, crowds. Matt, why are we talking about the elevators? Well, this is actually one unexpected surprise, was that Carnival Panorama uses the destination elevator system. So let me explain that. So instead of pressing up or down, you actually just select the floor first, and then the system automatically assigns you a letter to one of the 6 or 8 elevators. And so, well, it was confusing at first, but by the end of the cruise, we actually loved it. It generally helped manage congestion by putting people going on the same floor in one particular elevator, so you had less stops and a better flow. Speaking of flows, you heard me earlier on, it said this ship holds about 4,000 people. And so while that could seem crowded, it didn't. We thought the flow of the ship was seamless. You could get from the front and back quick. You could go up and down easily with the elevators or stairs, and everything just felt natural and organized like many of the other ships that we've seen. Unlike the Carnival Radiance, that ship I still don't understand some of that layout. So next, let's talk about the 2 ports real quick that we actually did. So again, this probably doesn't have anything to do with the actual ship because the ship has different itineraries, but the 2 ports that we went to, one was Cabo and the second was Ensenada. And so in Cabo, we spent 2 nights, and this was a tender port. And so that meant we had to get on a tender boat to go into port, and that process was very smooth and efficient. On those days, we did whale watching one day, saw a huge breach of a humpback whale, then we did a beach massage the next day, all while Olivia stayed happy in the kids club. The next day at port was Ensenada. Here we took Olivia back with us to our favorite park, Pai Pai. And so if you're planning a trip to Ensenada, click the link above for an animal encounter here at Pai Pai that you won't want to miss. So as we wrap up this video, let's talk about who should not book this ship. And so if you're looking for something that's quiet, something that's adult focused, cruise with minimal kids, low energy, and you just want to relax, well, maybe this ship or even the cruise line's not for you. We suggest you try Virgin, Princess, or maybe Norwegian might be a better fit for you. But if you are looking to have a good time, you want to party, you want plenty of activity, you want to meet people, you want to have friendly conversations with strangers and just dance the night away, Carnival Cruise Line was a ton of fun. And so we've gone on several different cruises with almost all the different cruise lines out there. And so Royal Caribbean is our #1, but wow, we are just blown away, and Carnival Cruise Lines just stole that 2nd place spot. We feel this is a great budget travel cruise line, but it has the best kids club we've ever had. It has a ton of fun. You see ducks being hid. You see people dressing up in similar t-shirts and outfits and partying all the time. It just had a vibe that I think some of the other cruise lines are struggling to replicate. And so again, if you think Carnival Cruise Line is riddled with this bad reputation of being something that is just low class or just chaotic and too much of a party scene, I'd urge you to break out of that norm and reconsider, because that couldn't be further from the truth, at least in our 2 experience, both on the Carnival Radiance as well as the Carnival Panorama. And so we, again, love the Carnival Cruise Lines. We can't wait to go back for more. And so if you've ever been on a Carnival Cruise Line, comment down your experience, or if you have any other questions about going on a Carnival cruise, drop them down below. And while you're at it, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button for more travel tips and adventures, and most importantly, remember, life's an adventure. Who are you going on it with?